Okay, thank you for coming. Getting together like this for these purposes. You know what they are. So you can simplify things by looking at three simple, easy categories. You don't have to be confused about how to go forward. How to move in the right direction. You have an outer life. That's the life of objects, your car, your house, your toothbrush. You have a relational life. That's not objects, people. That's part of the experience of outer life. This is all experience, isn't it? This is not reality. This is how we experience, most of us. The idea is to get beyond this illusory level of experiencing. But most of us get very caught up in it. So I'm just trying to give you a simplification to not get so caught up. So there's the outer dimension, two parts, objects, people. So you have a relational life, you have a relationship with the outer world, and you have an experience of the inner world, your internal experiencing, your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, your perceptions, and your inner experiencing, your inner life. What you experience as inside the limits of your skin that someone else doesn't know what's going on. Those are your, let's call them limitations of perception, because consciousness is way broader and way deeper than all those limited ways of human experiencing. But for a way of talking about it and a way of thinking about it, that's a nice, to my way of thinking, a nice simplification, so that you don't have to look at life as, and being a human being, as this vast complexity that confuses you and you can't figure out. Either it's happening in your relational world, it's happening in your object world, the material world, or it's happening in your inner world. What else do you ever experience? Everything you experience in any way can be conceptually categorized in one of those three. Remember, these are concepts, these are not realities. In reality, there's no inner, there's no outer. If you work hard on your relational world and improve your relations and open yourself and make yourself more vulnerable and make your relations more kind, more loving, more risky, that takes you forward spiritually. If you work on, and that's the bhakti way, the way of love. If you work on your inner world, your thought process, your emotional life, your way of perceiving, your inner experience of yourself, what it feels like and seems like to be you, that will also take you forward spiritually. That will affect your relational life. If you work on your relational life, that will affect your inner life. You see where I'm going here? The one that doesn't matter is your material life, your life with objects, whether you have a better car, whether you have a nicer house, whether you have a lot of money in the bank, whether you're the austere type and purposely don't want a lot of money in the bank. You want to live simple and you want to be not a slave to your possessions. Working on that will take you nowhere in your spiritual life. But if you think about it, this is really the first time in history that there have been cultures on the planet who emphasize the material life, the outer life that's centered on objects, who tell you that the way to have a better life and true peace or true joy or true fulfillment is get better stuff, get more money, get a big house, get a luxury car. I don't think anybody would argue, there might be some, but I would take that debate, that this is unique in the history of the planet and in the history of the species. It's never been so emphasized. We are the most materialistic. The Western culture today is the most materialistic culture the world has ever seen. Not just because we're materialistic, there have been plenty of materialistic cultures all through the ages, but because you're barraged with it day and night. We're the culture that invented advertising. It didn't exist before. And anything like what's called now advertising. So you get these messages constantly from every direction, written, verbal, subliminal, influences from friends, family, and colleagues. You know, buy this scented candle and you'll really know peace. Eat this particular kind of food and you'll feel really good. So your job as genuine, sincere, well-intended spiritual seekers is to rid yourself of these influences that, of the three categories, are the only one that takes you no place except on the carousel of misery. Because if you buy the scented candle, it won't bring you peace. And you'll be frustrated. And that's a kind of a little misery. So you can work on both your relational world and your inner world if you want a big challenge. Some like the maximum challenge and want to go as fast as possible. Then you have to work on both, and they help each other. But you can choose one, because if you work on your relational life and improve that, become more open to people, expand your relationship world, relate more profoundly, more truly, more openly to more people, both more in quantity and more in quality. The quality from you and the quantity of people you let into your life. That will affect your inner life. Vice versa. If you work on your inner life, that's the meditation path, the knowledge path, the wisdom path. If you work on your inner life and becoming more in touch with yourself and experiencing more deeply, that will absolutely start to have an effect on how you relate to other people. There'll be more of you available. You'll learn things about yourself that will fan out into how you relate to other people. When you learn about yourself, you're learning about everyone else. If you go the other route and focus on relating, when you learn about everybody else, you're learning about yourself. The only one that cheats you is the world of objects. The only one that promises the moon and delivers nothing is the world of objects. People fear withdrawing their attention from that because they think they're going to miss out on something because you've been so propagandized. So of course you've got to wash the car. Of course you should have as nice a house as you can afford within your means. Of course you should have whatever you want that's reasonable and represents a normal way to live. Of course you should, but you shouldn't be a slave to it. Your life shouldn't be devoted to it. People are afraid they'll miss out if they withdraw from this, withdraw their energy, withdraw their attention. But it doesn't mean you can't enjoy these things. It doesn't mean you can't have these things. It means you can't be owned by them. So that's the whole spiritual method. There's lots of details we're not talking about. I'm talking the broadest possible terms. But that's the whole spiritual method. That's the whole spiritual path. Focus on the relational, the love thy neighbor way. Focus on the inner life. That's the meditative and diving deeper way. If you dive all the way as deep as humanly possible inside yourself, you'll encounter the divine. But the way you're influenced every day if you live in this culture is don't pay attention to that, don't bother with that, just focus on the objects world. Get yourself a lot of money and the best of everything. Buy better friends. And that's the road to happiness. That's the road to profound frustration and alienation. I don't think you have any confusion about it. My people aren't fooled by the material mirage, but it's still good to put it in context every now and again because you're barraged constantly. You have to be reminded because it's easy to be sucked back in without even realizing it. We're not in a monastery. We're not in an ashram. You still have an everyday life in the conventional world, and you have to conduct your spiritual life within that context. So you have to be reminded. You have to remind yourself again and again, or else the influences seep in. They work hard to influence you, so you have to put in some work to be more impermeable to what's truly nonsense, what truly robs you of your time and energy and focus that's needed for what matters, for what isn't trivial. Your physical life is not part of the material life, by the way. Your physical life is part of your inner experiencing. But if you spend 90% of your time and energy going to the gym and on juicing and trying to achieve super health, you're making it part of the material world. That's too extreme. I'm not against health practices, but I'm against that being the center of your life. The center of your life has to be your yearning for truth, your desire for real God, your quest for reality. That's already your intention, but you have to make sure that your time, energy, and efforts are aligned with that. Because there's lots of influences trying to convince you otherwise and tempt you and seduce you otherwise. This is the problem with this way of doing it, where you stay in your own sphere, in your quote-unquote regular daily life, and you pursue your spiritual life seriously. This is why people go to ashrams and go to monasteries and seclude themselves in that way from the exterior world influence. It's easier. But you're not doing that right now. So you have to be aware of the onus being on you to keep out the influences that derail you, that focus you on what doesn't serve your spiritual progress. In fact, hinders it. Not just doesn't help, pulls you in the wrong direction. So don't ever make it complicated in your understanding. It's not amorphous, it's not a big philosophical or psychological or otherwise big ball of yarn to unravel. Very simple. Three major categories. Which one is your focus? Which one are you putting your time and energy and effort into? Which one has the most meaning for you? And remember, for the majority of people living conventionally in the conventional everyday world, the only one that has meaning is the material, the world of objects, the one that yields nothing except more or nicer objects, which can please you aesthetically or make you feel a little more financially secure, but cannot feed your soul, ever. And feeding your soul goes beyond this life. The other two feed your soul. When you feed your soul, you're growing yourself. Whatever you achieve in terms of growing yourself after death, that goes with you. Your 52-inch TV doesn't go with you. Your Rolls Royce doesn't go with you. Your 5-bedroom luxury penthouse doesn't go with you. Nobody's confused about that. But remember, your fingers don't go with you either. Your eyes don't go with you. Your feet don't go with you. Nothing goes with you. Only what's inside. What's invisible. What is part of your being. You can grow your being in those two methods, but not the world of objects method. That doesn't grow anything except rust and dust. Okay, that's all for me. Your turn.
Swamiji, Malini has a question. Malini, could you go to the question, please? the last time I was here, last Saturday, and Noah came onto the question, and even before, like, she said something. What struck the most was the lightness in her being, and I've seen that in Surya too. And I almost envy it because I don't feel light. I feel heavy and dense in my body. Like, I hate my body. There are things I would not want. I hate my arms. And just seeing that lightness, I'm like, how do I get that into myself?
Have you asked them? Have you? No, it's a real question. Have you asked them? Has it occurred to you? You say, these two people, and I've spoken about these two people really recently publicly. Have you asked them?
I briefly spoke to Noah about it, but
And what'd she say?
she said she used to be dense too at some point. But then she worked with you, I guess. I don't know.
So you didn't force her to give you an answer. You didn't threaten her. Give me the answer, or I'm going to play tricks or treats. You didn't talk to Surya.
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
Indians don't want to talk to Indians. So. I don't blame you.
yeah, I kind of try to escape from the world, not with like drugs or something, but like just getting lost in Netflix. Or I'm awake in bed, but I don't want to get out of bed because I don't want to be seen in the world, in this body. And then I'm like, how do I be that? Because that's more,
Well, what do they have that you don't have?
I don't know, all I can say is a lightness of being. That's the only way I can articulate it. I don't know what I'm seeing.
Well, they've both changed dramatically recently. That's why I've spoken about them, particularly Nova, but both. I've mentioned both. And I've mentioned how they've grown spiritually.
I wasn't there when you spoke about Surya. I don't know what I want to feel, but I know what I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel trapped or caged or not wanting to be seen.
Well, you're talking about, well, that's an individual psychological, emotional issue.
Okay.
But your question refers and relates to their spiritual progress, because both have had big leaps in spiritual progress recently. It's not an accident that you're saying those two names, those two people. Do you want to answer it?
Yeah. I just don't believe that I exist. So.
That's too abstract for what she. That's great, but for what she's asking for something that points the way directly.
Discipleship.
Do you have an answer?
Deconditioning.
Deconditioning. Well, if you look at both, all those are true. Of course, those are the true and real answers, and you can use them. But I like the simple answers. Can you see what, you've only been coming for what, a couple of months, 2, 3 months, something like that?
Yeah, a month.
So, a month. So, in that month, have you noticed what's increased in both of them? There's something the same in both of them that's changed. I don't know if you've been, if a month is long enough that you can see where they were just recently and the leap forward and what the operative factor, either the operative factor or the operative result.
I have known Surya for years now. We were together on the motorcycle trip that we took in India in 2014. Uh, from then, I remember her being like really serious and taking things too seriously. Uh, and now I see her laugh more, um, not be too attached to things and how they should be. It's just, I mean, I keep using the word light, but it's um, just being more playful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that's what I like participating more in conversations and just
Mm-hmm.
laughing for no reason, which was absent in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm saying that. Which was absent in like October
She
of 20.
remembers. She remembers. She was there. She knows how she's changed.
Um, and I've seen Surya change for a year now, and the more and more she becomes more playful and more easy. Um, but also like she's like a lot of things have dropped from her body. It has become not just weight wise light, like energy wise light is what I feel. Um, like in physical stuff, like her gait is lighter, the way she walks, and the way she carries herself in the world. Uh, with Nova, I mean, I've not known her for a long time, but it's that very moment that she came to the cushion and the way she placed herself. I told her it was just like a feather. It was as if the landing was so light that I wanted to be that. It was just like a leaf falling on the floor or a feather floating. It was like more floating. I don't know. I don't know the words for it.
So you can't stay with me and not have that happen. How long have you, when did you take discipleship? About 2, 3 weeks ago? So wait. This isn't top ramen. It's not instant. But didn't you feel something instantly? A shift? You felt the reality of it, of discipleship. What's the same in both of them, and it's not actually the cause, it's the result. But it's still right to focus on that. What's the same in both of them is they've had huge increases in devotion. So the lightness you're talking about, discipleship will take care of it over time. Your discipleship is an organic, real divine process that grows and expands and changes you. But it's not wise to sit around and wait for that to happen by itself. So what you're asking and the way you're asking, the best answer, the most practical answer is focus on devotion. Because what changed for both of them gave them more devotion. But you don't have to wait for something to change that gives you more devotion. You can just go right to more devotion. Because I don't get the sense devotion is difficult for you. So take the easy way. Devotion is a universal antidote. Whatever's bothering you, it sweeps it away. Enough devotion can cure anything. Any preoccupation. You have this psychological preoccupation with image, looks, how your body looks and feels. This is common, of course, you know that. You can spend a lot of effort and time on that directly and maybe make a little progress or feel better, but devotion can just sweep it out altogether. Let your spiritual life and your spiritual experiencing be prominent, and don't try to struggle or take on or tackle your psychological or emotional issues. Let the spiritual overtake it. If that happens, you won't need to bother with them. If that doesn't, then we'll deal with those. But what you're envying in them, the right way to understand it is profound devotion. So cultivate profound devotion and see what happens. It'll happen by itself as the natural process of discipleship. It happens at different speed for different people. Some people, devotion isn't the main thing, but discipleship always brings more and more devotion as time goes by. But you can also cultivate devotion. You don't have to wait. So if you want my recommendation, that's it. Forget everything you talked about. What you're envying that in them can be achieved quickly by the position, taking the inner position of more and more devotion. Comprende?
Yes.
Okay. That's the practical answer. I can give you other answers, but I want you to have the practical answer because that's something you can do and have big results fast.
So I believe Catherine has a question. Go ahead, Kath.
And get a scented candle.
I love them, but maybe too much. Sorry. Master, I think I can do what you just instructed. I'm so sorry, I don't know the woman's name you just spoke to. But to focus on
Malani.
devotion. What was it?
Malani.
Malone. To focus on devotion would just take care of the psychological thoughts. Just kind of break them through. Is that true for me too? Is that something that I could do? I was going to ask you a question about my brother because it's his birthday today, and he's not
What's today?
living his life. And
What's the
I was
date? What's the date
preoccupied
today?
22nd, 23rd, 24th.
24th, yeah.
It's like he didn't survive all the way.
No, he didn't. He didn't survive all the way.
I don't know how to love.
You can't use that formula I gave Milani in the way you're talking about. You're hoping you can use it as a magic elixir to take care of things you've struggled with for years. And there's no magic elixir. However, that being said, if you don't hold it as a magic elixir, if you don't indulge the idea of you can quickly, easily, and instantly deal with serious problems without any effort or attending to them the right way. If you let go of that kind of thinking or expectation, it's never a mistake to cultivate more devotion if you're a disciple, because devotion is the rocket fuel of discipleship. It'll increase your discipleship, it'll expand your discipleship, it'll deepen your discipleship, it'll empower your discipleship to do what discipleship naturally does, which has incalculable beneficial effects. That may, if it's not your intention, which is a misuse, if you're not misusing it, that may have some effect on the problems you're referring to. But if you're trying to cultivate more devotion with the idea that this is the magic bullet that fixes everything, it won't work. You'll frustrate yourself, and you'll say I'm not a good disciple to yourself, and you'll blame me at some point, and whatever. The mind will play all kinds of nasty tricks on you. So what I said for her is for her, because of her makeup and her position exactly right now. And you always have to remember that I only talk to individuals. I never talk to groups. So even though some things I say may apply to a lot of people, you have to be very careful taking something I say to someone and saying, okay, I'm going to use that, because it may absolutely be a waste of time for you. If your wisdom says it's exactly right for me, fits in every way, fine. But I don't think you're saying that. I think you're saying, sounds like a magic bullet. Well, that magic bullet worked for me. It's not a magic bullet.
I feel like I have roadblocks to being more devoted that I can't always get through. I feel defeated a lot in my attempts to do more and to be a better disciple. And I'm hoping that's just part of it and that's not real. But it's...
Well, who told you you have to be a better disciple?
I want to be, but I feel like I can't.
Well,
So I just keep trying, but...
Define better disciple.
I'm just who shows up more, who is doing murti every day for 40 minutes and was always on there 5 hours and then some, and more. But I don't even give that to you. I get really upset at the end of the day when I go. But it's a lot to manage. Not what I want to give you as your disciple, but I have difficulty managing my day with the line and the treatment. I miss a lot of things, not just my meditation and stuff. So.
Well, we don't have any hall monitors grading who's a better disciple and who's not a better disciple, so that's in your mind. Don't make your discipleship a mirror of the worldly way of judging yourself. It's not supposed to be a set of standards, and if you meet them, you feel good, and if you don't meet them, you feel bad. That's not discipleship. Discipleship is the divine in your life, and a organic internal process that assists you with your spiritual progress, your spiritual quest. It's the operative factor of the spiritual path. It's not a bar you set and then you have to reach it. You're an initiated disciple. That's it. You fulfill whatever you can fulfill to the degree that you can fulfill it. You know, you're an adult, grown-up person. If it's too hard that day, you don't judge yourself if you couldn't do your meditation. And if you do it for 20 minutes instead of the ideal 40 minutes I recommend, you don't judge yourself that you only did half. In fact, if anything, you commend yourself that you did the 20. But you're using discipleship against yourself. I don't want you to do that. I don't want anybody to do that. Discipleship is a divine gift for those who it's right for. It's never to be used as a standard to measure yourself and say, I'm not good enough. That's the worldly way. This is a spiritual way where we don't punish ourselves for our difficulties. This is not the Catholic Church. We're not going to castigate you for your sins.
So you're saying it's grace, and discipleship kind of works itself. I thought I had to do it. I thought I had to do it. Like it was disciple driven or something. But I think I've confused that.
What you have to do is work on yourself in the way spiritual life requires, whatever that is for you and in your life. It's whatever it is for you. For someone else, it's something else. For someone else, it's something else again. For you, for a long time, it's been trying to work on ending this conditioning, this habit somebody taught you early in life of judging yourself. Because that's a losing game every time. So that's your spiritual work until it's done, until it's accomplished. And once that's accomplished, everything shifts, and then you will see what's the next challenge that takes you forward. But that's the one you've been struggling with most of your life, and it's not accomplished yet. So when that's accomplished, everything will change. And discipleship supports that, but that's your work. You have to do it. You have to start seeing how you're talking to yourself, the internal world, how you're judging yourself, and you're always judging yourself as having failed somehow. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, and you're very acutely aware of it, and it causes you tremendous pain and misery. And that's your work, is to see that that's all a mind trap, and you can change that. But discipleship isn't going to magically make that go away. That's your work. Discipleship will support that work and give you strength and help you in other ways, but that's your work. You have to know what your challenge is.
What's one thing that I could do today that would help me stop this judging? Because I can see it in my mind and I can't always like make it stop. Like
Don't try to make it stop. Just cultivate awareness about it. Become really, really aware of it. Notice it every time it happens so that it's in the light instead of in the shadows. Bring it out to the middle of the living room, not down in the basement where it attacks you and you kind of aren't sure what's going on. If you start to be aware of it, you'll see you're doing it all day long. It's not clear to you yet. Just awareness, nothing else. Just look for it like a detective. How am I judging myself? How am I comparing? How am I telling myself I'm failing or not good enough or not as good as the next one. Because you're doing it many times a day. You can start noticing that. Don't try to make it stop. Don't try to change it. Try to notice it. Nobody continues to do it if they notice what they're doing. If you're banging your head against the wall because you don't know it's giving damage to your head, first you have to know you're banging your head against the wall. You have to start noticing it. You're wondering why you have a headache. First you have to notice you're banging your head against the wall. So it's about awareness. It's not about making it stop. It's not about conquering it. It's not about analyzing it. It's about noticing how it just goes on, has a life of its own. The switch is always on. So just practice awareness.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have questions from Mia and Nirvana. Mia, could you go with the question, please?
I would like to express gratitude to
Before you do, did they tell you I'm coming to your house in a few weeks?
Chicago.
I'm coming to Chicago.
Fantastic.
Nobody told you?
No, I understand I can go to New Orleans and see you there. You're very welcome, whatever I can do. I'm thrilled. I want to express gratitude to...
Wait a minute.
Tell me.
Whatever you can do.
Would you...
Anybody got pencil and paper?
Do you need a place to stay or whatever?
Well, you're in Midtown, aren't you?
Yes.
That might not be very handy.
Oh, where would it be?
We'll talk. Oak Park.
Well, yeah, it's very difficult to know where to start. I was going to start expressing gratitude to Swami Premodaya and to the people I know here. I'll probably cry. And I have to say that I carry you in my heart. I think of everybody, and when I'm here, it's as if I've never left. I mean, looking in the eyes and the welcome. And also the life.
They look better, don't they?
Well,
than the last time you saw them.
They look younger. Definitely, the life is better. And also,
That's the first thing I thought when you sat down. You look younger.
I feel younger. I feel I'm growing younger. And what I want to say is how I have not experienced the regular physical presence with you, but everything I've learned from you, I carry inside, and the suggestions you've made, it's like a fermentation. It continues to grow, including part of what my purpose is.
That's the first time anybody's told me that what I've told them continues to ferment.
It's growing. It's a flower. How's that?
Well, gardeners use manure.
But I love my name and the significance of my name. And I think of myself as that, and it's played out really very, very well. And the synchronicity, though, when I tune in to hear you and being here is amazing, because currently in my life, what I'm doing is divesting myself of a lot of material possessions, and I've been fortunate to have quite a few. I've relocated 6 blocks away for several reasons and have way too many possessions, and my problem was what to do with them. And I realized that we have maintenance people and people in the building. I just sent out a message that I wanted to give things away to what people wanted. And so one man wanted a couple sofas, and it just felt, first of all, just the physical lightness of getting rid of things, but to see the happiness of people who needed them was very spiritual to me. Just the look in the face. So I'm doing that, and also simultaneously trying to work on my relations with others and my inner life. And I'm doing that through going back to serious study of music and meeting people who are so spiritual through their music, and it's an energy. You know, I feel the energy from them, and in other areas. And I'm meditating more, and really working on myself. Part of my problem is being enthusiastic. I want to do everything at once and take too much on. So if my choice is starting or emphasizing more relational things or the inner world, how do I decide without without overwhelming myself and tripping myself up?
How have you tripped yourself up?
Well, I might think, and judgment. The last interaction, I thought a lot of too, because I judge myself. Oh, maybe I am not meditating enough. I didn't do enough of this today, or maybe I haven't reached out enough to someone else, and putting too high a bar in both areas. But knowing from what you said that each identifies, affects the other. Question.
Yeah, but have you listened to me enough times that you've heard me say, because I say it fairly frequently, lower the bar?
Yes.
I'm the only guru. I'm the only guru on the planet who recommends lower the bar. Don't have a high goal. Don't set the bar high. Set the bar low and achieve it easily and make it real, and then set it a little higher. What people do is they have high idealistic goals,
Right. So,
which are unrealistic.
well, that's true, and so as usual, I will give myself permission to lower the bar and be grateful and satisfied with what I have accomplished and how I can.
You have more energy than me, and you're 106.
Oh. I'm older than most people think, though.
Yes, I have no idea how old you are. That's why I called you 106. But I know you're the energetic type. So when you sit here and talk about, taking on too much, you're probably not taking on too much. That's just your nature. You're a go person.
I am,
Yeah.
but
So go, baby.
About age, though, honestly, I think I'm your age.
Well, how old are you?
71.
No, I'm younger than that. Don't make me older.
I feel no age at all.
But I feel 90.
Oh, no.
My body, but inside I feel very young.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to insult you.
You didn't insult me. With the long hair and the beard, I look older than if I shaved and cut my hair short the way I used to wear it. Everybody would think I was a spry 65.
Oh, good. Good. So anyway, thank you. And
70's a year and a half away from me. Or no, it's a year and a half.
well, I apologize, but
No apology necessary. I'm not insulted. I don't care about age.
I don't either.
I'm not trying to look younger. I'm not trying to look older.
But I find that the chronological age really isn't relevant, and I don't see myself being limited by a number.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So why are you worried about the bar?
Because I'm kind of rather perfectionistic and want to do a good job in all the areas. And
Oh, forget about that.
Okay.
Forget about that. That's your work. Get rid of the perfectionism.
All right.
Don't go for perfection, because that's a straw man goal.
That's what trips us up, I think.
Well, human beings aren't capable of perfection. The divine makes sure everything is perfect, and the human part is mistakes will be made
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
I have permission.
You don't need permission.
Okay, good.
If permission helps you, then play that game. I have permission, but just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, make more mistakes.
Okay. And then forgive myself.
No, just make more mistakes
I'll
and
think about it.
ignore the whole thing. Yeah, because you're doing it anyway. That's a way of recognizing how we actually live anyway. So I don't see any problem. I think you're inventing this stuff.
I'm doing
You're inventing this stuff. This is
Inventing.
conceptual.
with the imagination.
Yeah, you're imagining there's a problem.
Well, thank you. That's really tremendous advice. A comment. I appreciate
It's
it.
not advice. It's an observation.
Thank you. Okay, I
It's not a
feel very
compliment.
young
It's not a compliment.
now. Okay. All right. So, thank you very much. And I will look forward to hearing more about your visit later.
You should join us more online when you're home.
Yes, and it's not a good excuse. I'm a morning person. I'm up sometimes before the sun.
I hate morning people.
And, oh no. I'm not going to take it personally.
I don't start feeling awake till about 10 p.m.
So 7 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock, and I'm ready. I'm winding down, and I think people have seen me fall asleep. I'm sure because I have. I know, and the intention is great. Even with the cup of coffee, I self-medicate to stay up, but that's the main.
Drinking a cup of coffee is not self-medicating.
No, caffeine is good for us. What is it? What would you say? I think I drink the coffee to try to stay awake.
Fine.
Anything else?
Well, you look great.
I'm happy.
Maybe the best I've ever seen you look.
I am very happy, and I just think it's changes in lifestyle and attitude and all the learnings that continue to bubble up.
Attend the events that are all available online more often. I don't see you often enough.
All right,
That's the bar I'm setting.
and right with my discipleship. But I'm very
No, I have a motive there. I want to see you more out. We're about to start our practitioner training program,
Oh, you are.
and if you participate more, then we can see if that's appropriate for you
I am.
to participate in that, which I suspect it will be.
Well, as I probably mentioned before, I'm very Jungian as well as in psychology, and the synchronicity is amazing. Because I feel I've had opportunities.
Yeah, I don't give a
want to
shit about
reach out.
psychology.
That is just cease to exist. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about it.
You're a psychologist, I'm a psychologist, I don't care.
Yeah.
I retired from that business.
But the idea of the practitioner and helping people, and it ties in with offers I've had internationally, and I want to definitely bring in what I'm learning through discipleship and helping people. So that sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Well, practitioners will be disciples who are able to assist others spiritually. So,
And that's the direction my life has been taking. So I was
yeah, actually, it's quite dramatic now. If I think about the first time I met you and now, it's quite dramatic.
right. I came right looking for confidence and direction and whatever.
Well, you've definitely burgeoned. Even though you're not local, it's worked for you. So you don't have to be local.
No,
That's not a time and space thing.
No, it isn't. I carry it inside. And I'm very grateful for all of you.
So you're coming to the New Orleans retreat?
Oh, I just heard about it, and I would like to. I know it's Memorial Day.
Do you know New Orleans? Do you know New Orleans?
I know it as a visitor.
Yeah,
on
as a
Bourbon
visitor.
Street and,
Yeah. The hotel is
Cafe
smack
Du
dab.
Monde.
The hotel is smack dab on the middle of Bourbon Street, halfway up Bourbon Street. You can't get better than that.
No, it sounds very good. A little beignet and the Cafe Du Monde and those things. But
That's
as
where the
far as
tourists
a
go. I don't go
spiritual-
where the tourists go.
As far as the spiritual element of New Orleans, I can't say I've experienced that. But as a city, I have.
I'll take you to an actual voodoo store.
I was going to say,
You be
I know there's
you gonna be leaving scared.
my path.
On Bourbon Street, they have the tourist fake voodoo stores. I'll take you to a real voodoo store.
That would be quite interesting in that also.
Oh,
No,
your hair will turn white.
but my research has been, I mean, it's just amazing. Though I had an ancestor who lived in Salem, Massachusetts at the time of witchcraft and wrote a book denouncing. So I've been researching and studying this, and it would be very interesting, seriously, to me, if you're serious, to attend a voodoo store, a real one.
I'm never going back to any actual voodoo store because I left really scared and shook up because it's real. I mean, they're not playing. It's serious. But I certainly. No, there'll certainly be time to. It's a 5-day retreat, so there'll certainly be enough time. I mean, if you show me where you're going, I can tell you if it's a real voodoo store or one of the tourist Satsuki shops. And if you want to go, there'll certainly be time. And I'm sure there's other people who want to go. I'm not going. No.
Is there a
Once-
purpose for my spiritual growth for doing this?
Huh?
Is there a purpose for discipleship in my spiritual
No,
growth?
it's just to see something that you're only going to see in New Orleans and Florida. That's the only place you're going to see true voodoo shops that I know of in America. That's some scary shit. They ain't playing.
Any volunteers?
Wait till you're in New Orleans.
All right, okay. All right. So,
It's a thing you do once if you've never done it, but be prepared to be really shook up because
gosh.
they're serious.
I mean, you see apparitions and
You'll see. No, you don't see apparitions. They sell voodoo paraphernalia, but it's real stuff, and there's an energy in the real voodoos. You've been a real voodoo, yeah. Am I making this up? There's an energy the moment you walk in. Yeah, it's just really, really like, whoa.
so do you have an antidote afterwards?
You don't need that. Have a cup of coffee.
For readjusting the spiritual energy into the positive.
It's no problem. You know, people go on a roller coaster to get scared. It's no problem. I don't either, but don't worry about it.
Oh,
You don't need an antidote.
I don't
Leaving the store is the antidote.
getting out. All right, okay, thank you. Oh gosh. Okay, a lot of connection. That's very good. So, thank you very much. Okay.
So I'll see more of you.
Yes, you will. Either here or there.
Chicago, New Orleans, and more online
Okay.
when you're not in California.
All right. Okay. Or Thailand. That's part of where I was last year. Teaching.
Or Thailand. Okay.
Mentoring, which is what I said. I'm not sure my purpose, and he looked at me and said mentoring.
Yeah.
And that's played out amazingly. So, thank you.
That's my job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
So do we have Bhavana? Go ahead, Bhavana, you unmute it?
Thank you. Hello, thank you for being available again. And I also want to thank the Sangha for being so supportive and reaching out to me. And it's been really, really helpful. So I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to express my gratitude and love for that.
They've reached out to you. People have reached out. Good, because you are in a challenging time in your life. You've decided to take on the biggest challenge you could possibly take on. And it's depressing and difficult. And The struggle is a real struggle. It's painful. It's heart and mind and body and soul, and it takes a long time, and we want to support you. Dealing with childhood trauma, when you've really been traumatized, when you decide as an adult that you want to take it on and heal all the way from it, it's the most challenging thing you could possibly do. And it's the long haul. It can't be done in a week or a month, so you strap in and you do it. So it's only for those who have genuine courage. But there'll be many, I said it to you already, there'll be many bumps along the road.
Yeah. And I know you also said that there'll be, the up and down. And so when I'm down, remembering that I'll come back up, and when I'm up, knowing I'll be coming back down, and just being okay with that.
Well, you don't have a choice. That's life. That's true for everybody.
Yeah. I just think that
It's just more acute with what you're dealing with. It'll be a rougher ride. You'll feel it intensely.
yeah, it feels extreme.
It is extreme because to be abused as a child is extreme. Most children aren't harmed by the people who are supposed to take care of them. So it's an extreme experience in life.
Yeah, that's still hard to hear, but I'm getting there. I did want to just report that when I am feeling a little bit better, and today is a day that I am feeling a little bit better, I notice how peaceful I feel, and how like this self-criticism has been so absent. And I've even put myself into situations where normally I would, judge myself or criticize myself or pressure myself, and putting myself in those situations, I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever, and there's no back talk and no additional pressure. So, if this is what it's going to start to look like or feel like in the future, I mean, that's encouraging too, that it's helping to, move a lot of that out.
Well, time will tell. It may be, and discipleship may have something to do with it, because I don't think you're aware of it, but I'm aware of it. Your discipleship is deepening.
Oh yeah.
So time will tell whether it's too soon. Time will tell whether this is a real shift where the tendency to self-criticize and self-judge and be hard on yourself that all people who are early life trauma victims have, whether that's going away or whether you're just getting a little respite for a while and then it comes back with a vengeance. Time will tell. Make no assumptions when it's a short time, because then you'll really be frustrated if it comes back.
Yeah.
But if it continues and it's many months, then you can assume that you've made significant progress in that area.
Because I can see even in the super deep, dark moments that even then I'm not, beating myself up, which is
Well, that's a real good sign. But time is the only real proof.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that too. Like in the past, I'd be like, oh, and now I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever, just okay, just okay. Feels good to just say, okay. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like there's so much just to be alive every day and every moment that there's no time and space for any of that. So whatever it is, it's good for now, the moment.
Well, you're getting some relief, and that's always good. You've had a very rough time for a couple of months, and you're getting a little respite, a little relief for at least a little while. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, even if it's for a day, it's fine.
Well, who knows? Maybe more than a day, but the intensity will definitely return because it rises up and recedes, rises up and recedes.
Yeah. But I definitely see the difference in my discipleship as well. And similar to what Kat was saying earlier, like, before it was like a trying or like had to do things or I should be doing something, but now it's just connecting with it there. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It just feels more real. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's discipleship deepening. Remember, it's an alive, organic process. It's a divine process. It has nothing to do with me specifically. It's not about the guru, it's about your discipleship. Your discipleship is the divine process operating in you. And there's no concomitant, there's no other process for human beings that rivals or is similar to discipleship. It's unique, it's God given, it has its own way of working, and it's very real. So, all other things are fine, but nothing is the same as discipleship. And it's not for everybody. I'm not in the business of trying to attract disciples or convince people to be disciples. That's not the mission I was given. The mission I was given was to assist people spiritually. So if discipleship is right for you, that's available. If discipleship is not what doesn't seem like the right road, there's no problem. What's always amazed me is how many people choose discipleship. Well, I'm glad you're getting some relief. You have to have some relief from time to time from this process of recovering from severe early trauma. It was only a few months ago that you didn't even know there was something to recover from.
Not to this extent, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked on it for a couple of years, but not like this.
Not at this level. This is a different awareness. This is the awareness that is required for you to be able to move forward in the sense of recovery.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Anybody else before we stop? Well, the time's up, so that worked out pretty good. Can you put everybody back on the screen? Stand by for the technical process. There we go. Okay. Look at Prasad. I now have a 40-year-old son. Yesterday was his 40th birthday. And he's off on his birthday weekend. That's why he's on the screen instead of here. But sit up so it doesn't look like you have a double chin. He's looking okay for 40. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
It's not every day my son turns 40, so. Okay, I'll see you when you get back. Can you hear me? Okay. He's muted. Okay. You don't have to say anything. I'll see you when you get back. I just wanted to acknowledge the 40th because that ain't chicken feed, you know. I didn't freak out till my 50th. Then I realized, hell, I'm a half a century old. It was really weird. My mind kind of spun, but then I got over it. Okay. So, I'll end with a commercial break. If you've never been to New Orleans and you're not thinking about signing up for the New Orleans Summer Retreat, think about it again. New Orleans is unique. It's like no other city in America. Talk to the people who know New Orleans. Bourbon Street is like no other street in any city in America. And we're going to be right on Bourbon Street. And no bourbon is required. It's the love capital of America. It's a love city. America's not a love nation. It's a very cool nation. It's an achievement nation. It's not a love nation. But New Orleans is a love city. It's the only love city I'm aware of in America, and I've traveled pretty extensively in my life in this country, outside too. I've experienced some love countries, so have you, because some of our annual international tours have been to love countries. But New Orleans is a love city, and it also has its own special flavor, and it's very unique, and it's very wonderful. And Prasad, Aiden can corroborate this. Aside from at ICODA, I tell people all the time, if you've never been to New Orleans, go to New Orleans. It'll open your heart. So make up your mind fast, because the airfares are really cheap now between LA and New Orleans. And that's not going to last. It's not that far away. End of May. I mean, we worked hard to get a place right on Bourbon Street, and it ain't cheap, so you're getting a good deal. The only reason we're going is because I want to go to New Orleans. That's how we picked it. It's been too many years since I've been to New Orleans. So I'm very glad to hear people talk about how you're supporting each other and how you're helping each other, because that's way it's supposed to be. Sangha is supposed to be a source of support. And everybody needs lots of support. Me, you, and everybody else. Every human being needs lots of support all the time in lots of ways. The conventional culture does not recognize that, but people who are spiritually aware have an obligation to recognize that. And you have an obligation, therefore, toward yourself to make sure that you have cultivated that support, that you have enough people you can turn to, that you can talk to, that you can ask for assistance or help or support in any form that's required. If you don't have that, you are cheating yourself. If you don't have that, you are living in poverty. And you have to have that to go forward spiritually. It's too much to think that on your own you're going to go forward as much and as far as you'd like. You can't do it without the support of like-minded people that you're truly connected to. It's never going to be the family you were born in, unless you were born into a very spiritually oriented family. And most of us weren't. You have to find your spiritual family. That's what Sangha is. So you have a ready-made source of individuals that you can get to know better, the ones that you like. It's not everybody. You're not going to like everybody. But I'm hearing it more and more. I heard it more today than I have so far in all these years, that you are more connecting with each other, more reaching out, more using each other. You have to use other people. The culture teaches you to think of the phrase use other people as manipulative and wrong. It's not. Use other people means be really connected. And loving others isn't a feeling, it's being with them in whatever form. So if you don't have enough support, you can't go far enough. And if you have enough support, you are in a stronger position to help others. And there's no such thing as too much support. There's no such thing as I have all the help I need. No one has all the help they need. You can always get more. But you do have to have enough. Not enough is a big problem. If it's a problem for you, it's a problem you have to solve. But luckily, there's a pool right in front of you to choose from, work on. But you'll see if you go to New Orleans, everybody in New Orleans is ready to help you. Everybody's your long-lost cousin who's glad to see you. It's a wonderful place, I really mean it. Consider going. Okay.